Welcome back to the deep dive. So for you, the learner, time is always the big constraint, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the one resource you can't get more of.
Exactly. And you're constantly looking for that structural shortcut, the thing that gets you to real expertise, not just knowing about something, but, really understanding it functionally as fast as possible.
Yeah, deep competence.
Right. So today, we're diving into source material that claims to offer just that. A kind of blueprint for rapid, really organized knowledge building, focused specifically on vocabulary. And this isn't about, random flashcards scattered everywhere. It's about actually architecting how you learn. We looked into this really interesting methodology document. It proposes a very structured way to maximize how much you absorb. Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay, so what we've got is, this insightful analysis, let's just call it the framework document to keep things clear.
Good idea.
And it lays out this whole system named themed vocabulary, learn, and success.
Yeah.
But crucially, the source material also points us to where this framework is actually being used.
The application.
Exactly. By the content channel, learn and success, we can call that the implementation example.
Okay, framework document and implementation example. Got it.
And what jumps out immediately is the precision. This framework document isn't just vaguely suggesting study vocabulary. No, it dictates a really systematic blueprint
Designed
specifically for high volume, rapid acquisition.
Yeah.
It seems perfect for you, the listener, needing to get your head around a complex field quickly and thoroughly.
Right. So the mission then is really to figure out the engine behind this method. How does organizing everything, complex ideas, vocabulary by these tight strategic themes, actually act as that shortcut we're looking for? Why is structure the secret weapon here? And how does this specific weekly cycle beat that, classic problem of just being overwhelmed with information?
Well, it beats information overload precisely because it embraces constraint. The modern learner, you're juggling just infinite inputs, right? So if you approach a subject just randomly, picking bits here and there, you waste a huge amount of mental energy just deciding what to learn next. And then, bang, you fall victim to the forgetting curve.
Ah, yes, the classic. Learn it today.
Gone tomorrow, or at least a huge chunk of it.
70%, isn't it? Something like that.
It can be, yeah. So the power of this specific structure, the one in the framework document, is its systematic, cyclical constraint. It's about focusing intensely on just one topic each week.
Okay, one topic, 1 week.
The moment you define those boundaries, you've got 7 days to master the essential functional vocabulary for topic X. You achieve a few key things. First, you interrupt that forgetting curve because your repetition and application are all concentrated in a short burst.
Okay.
Second, you maximize something cognitive scientists call chunking.
Chunking. Okay, tell us more about that in this context. It sounds a bit technical, but it feels important for how you'd actually do this.
Yeah, it's crucial. Think of it like this. Traditional learning, the scattershot kind, it's like dumping 1,000 Lego pieces on the floor, all mixed up, and saying, build a spaceship.
Right, chaos.
You waste half your time just sorting through bits that don't even belong together. Chunking, with the themed approach, means the material comes pre-sorted into relevant, interconnected groups. All the red pieces together, all the cockpit pieces, all the engine pieces, they're packaged.
Ah, okay. So it's delivered in context.
Exactly.
Oh.
So when you focus on a theme like, say, work for a whole week, you're not just memorizing isolated definitions. You're learning job titles, meeting phrases, industry jargon, maybe even common idioms used in professional settings, all at the same time.
Because they all relate.
Precisely. All those pieces of information immediately connect back to that central theme, work. And that strengthens the neural connections way faster than if those words were just randomly scattered across, 10 different topics.
So that weekly boundary, it's like a motivational target. The finish line is just 7 days away, but it's also a memory tool because every new thing reinforces what you just learned. But why a week? Why not a day or even a month?
Good question. A day, well, it probably doesn't allow for enough repetition and real application, letting it sink in.
Right, too rushed.
And a month. That's likely too long. Distraction creeps in, motivation can dip, you lose that sense of urgency. A week seems to be that sweet spot.
The Goldilocks zone.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It allows for deep immersion, but maintains that high sense of urgency. And you get specific, measurable results at the end of it.
Okay.
So when you finish that week, you theoretically have a fully functional, thematic set of vocabulary that's ready to use right away. This systematic approach really transforms learning from something passive, like maybe just reading a textbook chapter, into an active, focused project. You have defined 7-day deliverables. It's just an incredibly efficient way to use your time.
And that efficiency is exactly what we're digging into.
Okay, so we've established the why behind the weekly cycle. Makes sense? But let's shift to the what. Because the source material makes some very specific choices about the content itself.
The themes.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. The framework document specifically mentions themes like travel, food, and work. Now, these aren't, abstract philosophy or deep theoretical physics. They're intensely practical. Why pick these themes? Why is that choice so critical for the method's success?
Well, the selection seems laser-focused on maximizing the transfer rate. How quickly can you take what you learned and actually use it?
Immediate utility.
Exactly. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the common thread linking travel, food, and work is how universal they are, and how frequently you need language for them in everyday life, especially, in a globalized world or a new environment.
Right. Everyone travels, eats, works, or deals with those topics somehow. Pretty much. The goal here isn't just, let's say, pure linguistic mastery in the abstract. It's practical application mastery.
Okay.
When you learn vocabulary tied to food, you're almost guaranteed to encounter those words very soon at the supermarket, ordering in a restaurant, reading a recipe online, maybe even that same day. This constant exposure ensures the learned material stays active. It reduces that mental effort you waste trying to cling on to obscure words you might not actually use for months or even years.
Okay, but isn't there a trade-off? Aren't they maybe sacrificing some intellectual breadth to get that practical depth? If I spend a whole week just learning about food, am I falling behind on other important stuff, maybe governance or history or science, things that are also pretty critical for being well-informed?
That's a fair point. It really is. But the framework document seems to suggest that the initial focus needs to be on functional communication. Build the foundation first.
Get the basics down.
Right. This method feels designed to build rapid success and, importantly, confidence early on. Once you achieve a high level of function in these really common universal themes, your ability to then tackle more complex or abstract topics like governance or history is actually enhanced.
How so?
Because the framework for organizing knowledge, that weekly thematic structure, is already firmly in place. You've learned how to learn efficiently within this system.
I see. So it's pragmatic. It's designed for maximum immediate impact.
Absolutely. Think about frequency. If you're learning a new language or maybe starting a new job in a different field, you genuinely need to talk about your lunch or your commute or what you did at work far more often, certainly in the first few months, than you need to discuss, say, 18th century geopolitical history.
Good point.
That high relevance provides immediate, tangible rewards. And that's what motivates you, the learner, to keep going, to keep applying the cycle to maybe tougher, more complex themes later on.
So it's not just teaching words in isolation. It's teaching functional knowledge chunks you can literally use the moment you walk out the door. Precisely.
And that high relevance keeps the learning active, avoids that slump where you feel like you're just studying stuff you'll never actually apply.
Exactly. The source really emphasizes this. Utility equals retention. You use it, you keep it. Simple as that. You learn how to, describe a negotiation tactic for the work theme or navigate customs for the travel theme, and you try to implement that knowledge right away. That constant real-world testing embeds the knowledge much deeper than any, written quiz ever could. It's very targeted learning for rapid, usable results.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's ground this framework now. It sounds highly effective in theory, but let's connect it to the concrete reality. The source material, as you said, doesn't just give us the blueprint.
No, it confirms it's being used.
Right. Implemented by that specific content creator we mentioned earlier, the YouTube channel Learn in Success.
Yes, and that link between the theory, the framework, and the actual practice is vital. It shows this isn't just an idea on paper, it's operationally viable. Someone is actually doing it. And the framework document goes even further.
It does. It points directly to a specific instance, a concrete example of this whole approach in action.
Okay, and that specific detail, that concrete reference point, that's where we move beyond just the concept, right? Tell us about that precise detail from the source. What did it specify?
The source explicitly states that this entire methodology is exemplified in episode 91 of that channel, Learn and Success.
Episode 91, not just the channel generally, but one specific episode.
Exactly. It's a direct pointer to what seems to be a single structured lesson plan embodying this whole philosophy.
Okay, so if that one episode, number 91, is supposed to be the gold standard execution of this weekly cycle, what would you, the learner, actually see if you watched it? If it perfectly follows the framework we've discussed, what must it contain?
Well, assuming it adheres strictly to the model, it must contain a really meticulous breakdown of the week's chosen theme. Let's just hypothesize episode 91 is about travel, for instance. You wouldn't just get a random list of words like airplane, passport, hotel. No. The structure demands more. The episode would likely dedicate, say, the first chunk of time, maybe 20 minutes, just to the core nouns and verbs related to travel, the essential building blocks.
The structural vocabulary.
Exactly. Then, crucially, to ensure it's functional, the next section, maybe 10, 15 minutes, must focus on contextualization.
Putting it all together.
Right. Teaching-related idioms, common phrases you'd actually use, maybe even short scenario role plays. Like simulating checking into a hotel or asking for directions at an airport. The video format is perfect for that.
Yeah, you can see it acted out.
Right. It lets the learner move past just the abstract idea of focus weekly and actually observe the delivery mechanism in action.
So episode 91 basically serves as a template. It shows viewers exactly how they could structure their own weekly deep dive, whether they're learning basic stuff like food vocabulary or, highly technical jargon for a new job. It confirms the weekly theme structure works in practice by revealing the internal architecture of the lesson itself.
Precisely. It lets you analyze how they deliver it. Do they use repetition effectively? What kind of visual aids? Do they simulate real-world application? By having that concrete example, episode 91, you can judge the effectiveness of the content delivery alongside the effectiveness of the organizational structure.
Okay.
It demonstrates that structure really is the crucial scaffolding. It supports what can feel like a massive, task-rapid, applied learning, but aiming for measurable results. You see the how in action, not just read about the what.
That analysis really brings us to the core synthesis, doesn't it? We've kind of taken apart the mechanism behind this very strategic approach to learning. So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, I think it means that the fastest route to being genuinely well-informed probably isn't just about cramming more volume. It's about surgical organization. If you really want to accelerate how quickly you acquire knowledge, you have to stop studying randomly. You need a system.
Right. So this themed vocabulary approach, it's strategic, it's systematic, built around that strict weekly cycle.
Yeah.
And the themes like travel, food, work, they're deliberately chosen for high relevance, immediate usefulness. That guarantees a high transfer rate of knowledge into, actual real life.
Gets it out of the notebook and into the world.
Exactly. And this combination of the focused top delivery each week, plus the emphasis on practical application that seems to be the ultimate shortcut, getting you to be truly well-informed, not just theoretically aware. It replaces that feeling of chaos, of information overload, with the confidence that comes from structured expertise.
Well put. And, this raises an important final thought, a question really for you, the listener, to mull over, based only on the framework we've just analyzed.
Yeah.
If the goal of this whole methodology is comprehensive, functional vocabulary for everyday success, and we've seen travel, food, and work highlighted as foundational themes, what other essential, universal weekly themes beyond just those three would logically complete this framework? What else is needed for absolute mastery of that immediate practical knowledge?
Interesting question.
Yeah, just consider the implications of organizing all your learning around such highly focused functional blocks. What would that look like?